All right, welcome back to the Riz Show. You guys were just talking about Mardi Gras tomorrow. What a weekend in St. Louis. We got Mardi Gras tomorrow, and Sunday, the Battlehawks home opener. How about that? Hunzeker, the president of your St. Louis Battlehawks, in the studio. And this whole thing we got going on here, this music. We said this is the Battlehawk beat. Can you picture your team running out to this?
Yes. I've been picturing this for almost 8 months now.
Swinging around those Battlehawk rally towels that you'll be giving out on Sunday over at the Dome. Damn.
And it's going to be a beautiful morning, so the tailgating. Like, I just saw a couple guys out in the hallway. They're like, yeah, we'll be out there at 7.
I thought you were going to say I just saw a couple guys tailgating already.
Somewhere.
Actually, they're following you around. Everywhere you go, people are tailgating.
That's encouraged.
I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt it.
No, I don't either. I mean, the buzz has been
amazing.
Amazing. There are things that you can dream about, and then when it actually happens, you're like, boy, my dreams are terrible. It's not nearly as cool as what's happening.
I mean, when you first started this journey 7 months ago with the team, can you imagine this is what it is now?
Well, this is, I mean, you want it to be, but then you don't want to jinx it, too. It's like you don't want it to be like, set it up, and then you're like kind of somewhat disappointed. But going out in the community and realizing how much people just missed football.
Yeah.
And missed tailgating. I think just as much as like watching the game and watching, like being inside the Dome watching pro football, like there are people like, hey, I'm going to go see buddies I haven't seen in 5 years. They're all coming in for this.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the fun doesn't start when, the game starts. It's the whole day. It's the whole thing. It's the whole event.
No question.
You get up in the morning, and that's the first thing on your mind.
I actually heard yesterday, because we were down there testing some things and getting some things going, and I actually heard yesterday that there are some old Rams season ticket holders that have bought season tickets in their exact seats that they had when the Rams were in town.
A lot.
So, like, they are now going, you know what? You guys, they left, and to hell with them, but this is my city, and this is my football team, and I want to have the same experience that I had there when the Rams were in town, but it's going to be so much better.
Well, and also, we had people, I mean, we're talking in the hundreds.
Yeah.
I want my same exact seats. I'm like, where'd you sit? Oh, 420, whatever. I'm like, how about 120, whatever, and you're going to pay a fraction what you paid before.
Yeah.
Because the affordability, and they're like, sure, that works.
Fine.
Yeah. Good sales pitch.
Well, the other one that's really gotten good legs, especially on a day like today or the morning like this morning, like I can guarantee 72 and sunny inside every game. Yeah.
That's a good point.
And that was a good sales tool during the winter months.
Now,
for sure.
the first game was away, and I'm sure you were waiting for the TV returns to come back. Like, how did St. Louis do when it came to watching the first Battlehawks game? And the numbers were tremendous.
Huge.
Yes. I mean, again, it's like you create baselines. And these are all internal, like my own. Like, we're just like, hey, just go out, doors open, cold beer, warm food. There's a football and there's players. Make sure everybody has a good time. So no one ever put like any kind of pressure on numbers on us. But then you're like,
yeah, you'd like to see the numbers.
And then when you see 7-4, and then when the game ended 8-8, you're like, okay.
Well, especially since it was an exciting game.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then you see last week's game that was on FS1, and you're drawing a 6+, and you're like, ooh.
Yeah, this is okay.
Yeah, this is gonna work well.
Now, as far as tickets go for Sunday's game, what are we looking at?
We are looking at singles.
Okay.
Kind of onesies here and there. We actually had to, I mean, we really opened up the suites that were still unsold, and people were just like, yep, I'll find 10 buddies and jump in a suite just to be a part of this.
Wow.
And you're seeing a lot of people, too, jump on board for, we have our second game's 6 days after this. We play on February 29th. So while you guys are out and about with King Scott, we've got a game at 4 o'clock versus Seattle, and people are just like, I can't miss that one now. So, there's definitely been the, I didn't get this game, I'm not missing this again. Yeah. So they're buying tickets for the later games in the year.
Just watching the first couple games, I love the kickoffs. I love the way the kickoffs are done with the XFL. I love the way the ball looks. And you came in here last time with the Battlehawks ball. And just the way that ball looks with the X at the end, man, when those quarterbacks whip those balls in, it looks awesome.
It's awesome.
And you ask the wide receivers and running backs who are receiving it, they say they can see the ball so much better now. And whether or not that's scientifically true, if they believe that, I mean, that helps. I mean,
Hey, whatever
usually
works.
helps, yeah.
You're
Whatever
representing the Battlehawks. You said it. I believe it.
Yeah.
What I do love also is the reporters, the sideline reporters.
For sure.
Hell, if there's a missed kick, and that kicker comes on the sideline, within seconds he's on TV being asked about his missed kick.
Well, we have the same. It's ESPN this weekend on Sunday. It's the same crew that was in Dallas, and Pat McAfee.
Oh,
I
he's
think almost
wonderful.
had a heart attack when the punt went through the end zone, and he immediately went to the guy. And actually, this played out beautifully because had he not done that, and I forgot who the player was, social media would have lit up.
Mm-hmm.
By the time he got back to the locker room when the game ended, there's no way that he can defend. And then all of a sudden, because McAfee was right in front of him, he was just like, "Hey, I thought he touched it." And he's like, "Okay," and then it's over.
That's it.
And all of a sudden, social media is like, all right, honest mistake.
Yeah. The best is when they do that and you get yourself a character. Like, I can't remember what game it was. It was one of the other games, and the camera, they talked to him for 14 seconds maybe, but then the camera stayed on him and he started dancing. And he's like, hey, 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 hey. And I think that Marquette King, who I had a moment to spend with yesterday at the Dome, that guy is
the punter.
He's the punter. Mm-hmm. He is the biggest character in the league, if not for sure on the Battlehawks team.
He is certainly enjoying this experience.
He's having so much fun.
Yeah, he's the Battlehawks punter.
Incredible.
I mean, it could be the worst moment of your life. Missing the game-winning field goal,
yes,
and you got a camera and microphone right in your face.
Right.
It's so savage. I love it. It's so great.
Well, I mean,
the access.
The access is what we wanted, because this again, everything about this league is what fans wanted. I mean, there was way before I started, there was years of research, and people love football, but they would love it a little bit more if we did this, this, and this, and that's what we're doing.
And that's all the market research now coming into play.
Correct.
With, hey, we know you watch the NFL, but if you were to change anything about the NFL, what would you do? Okay, so as the XFL, this is what we're going to do.
Yeah, I mean, the kickoffs is a perfect example. I mean, people love the kickoff return, but they don't like kind of being complicit to the high impact or high velocity impacts of the guys running into each other. So how do you solve two? And that's what you see now of the kicker by himself on the 30, so he's a little bit farther back. I think after the first week, 90% of all kickoffs result in a return.
Yeah, which makes it exciting.
And then in the fall, it's like less than 30%.
Now, what do you think? So I watched the first game, the very first game that was played. They had a lot of the coaches calling in the plays. I see they throttled that back just a little bit. Do you know why? Was that by design?
Fans. So every game we do, as people are exiting the stadium, we talk to the home team fans. Hey, what was great? What can we do better next week? We have something actually called the Fan Network. It's a kind of an ad hoc research group. So during the week, we're like, hey, if you watched the games, which games did you watch? What worked? What didn't? And they're just like, sometimes less is more.
Yeah.
So they don't want to know every single play being called in, or they would rather hear it from the players talking back and forth to each other. Like if LaDainian Washington's talking to Jordan after the play, they would rather say, hey, I'm open over here. If do this.
Yeah.
That's what they would rather have than, Omaha 14, Muskrat,
that's what I thought.
Right.
Calling the plays, I think it's cool hearing that behind-the-scenes stuff. A lot of it was just football jargon I had no idea about.
Right. You're exactly right.
Just to dial that back just a little bit. Yeah, too much is...
You much rather have the... hey, he was wide open on the left side, you should have gave it to him deep, than squiggly squag, 7-7-10.
I do like some of that.
I like the vision of the coaches calling the plays, and then sometimes with the coach watching the play, because it's almost like it's their full-size video game, and they're like, okay, let's see what happens here.
Right, yeah.
And the look on their face is fascinating to me. The coach is up in the box.
Well, and the fact that the coaches can talk to all the skill position players now, so it's not just to the quarterback. So he's like,
Yeah.
Coach X says to player Y, hey, he's letting you take the outside every single time. Go. And, they're getting that.
And up to snap, right?
Yeah,
It doesn't cut off 15 seconds before. It's up to snap.
So tell me about the events that are going to go down on Sunday prior to kickoff.
So educating fans on remembering what the football experience is going to be like, especially there's a lot of events going on downtown all weekend, let alone just...
Yeah, I mean, Mardi Gras on Saturday.
There's actually a big cheerleading competition in the convention center. So parking is going to be tight. So A, get there early to park. And then B, and this is my personal plea to St. Louis, when ESPN turns on the lights at 2 o'clock, cameras roll, I want 27,000 plus
Please be in your
people
seats.
whirl in the towels because this is the return of pro football in St. Louis and the first homegrown team.
Yeah, if you're watching the studio cams. There you go.
So that's what we're passing out. It's our kickoff game powered by Ameren. Everybody comes in, we'll get a towel. We ordered 30,000, so.
Which is so cool, too. I mean, we've talked about our appreciation as a city for all the little things that you've done to get the word out and have people really understand what the team's all about and what the league's all about. And I think the league's done a great job, but you guys have done an exceptional job. And these types of things, they got the date on it. This is a keepsake because
It's the first.
This is history. Yeah, and so 30,000 people are going to have something that you better hold on to.
And again, this is the 7+ months of going to high school football games and bars and schools and community centers, and they're like, hey, it'd be really cool if we had a keepsake.
Yeah.
And so we're like,
Just
okay.
this is talking to people.
Right.
Okay, so is there going to be a march basically from...
So there's we have 3 high school bands, because again, we asked fans, what do you like about high school football? It's not in the pros. Oh, bands. We're like, okay, let's bring bands in. So we have 3 different high school bands coming in. They're going to lead a march starting at, I believe, 11:15. Players arrive at 11:15 in Bear Plaza. And so the bands will be there to kind of cheer them on, kind of like a college game day type of atmosphere.
What schools?
Hazelwood Central, Mater Dei, and O'Fallon Township from Illinois.
Give them a little
And
shout
then every week will be a different set of bands.
That's awesome.
From the different parts of St. Louis.
So it's almost like a soccer game.
It's
almost like a soccer match. Well, I remember when was it the U.S. men's team played over Bush. We were in one of the parks in the middle of the city.
Yeah,
we marched into the stadium.
The
It was
Outlaws,
great.
yeah.
So I mean, it's just kind of get that. Let's go.
Yeah, man, at the rally.
Yeah.
It's a rally.
And then the party zone opens. Well, Bear Plaza opens at 11. That's our official tailgate presented by Schnucks. And then the party zone opens at 12. So that's the indoor bar. It used to be the Bud Light party zone. It's like Bud Select party zone now. You have to enter through C or D, gate C or D, and then gates open for everybody at 12:30. And get there early. It's still a wand, so it's not the metal detector, so it might take a little bit longer. So definitely, even though we kick off at 2, don't get there.
Get there early.
Yes.
Yeah, get there early. Be in your seat. Get that rally towel.
Right.
When ESPN turns on those cameras, we want to see St. Louis represented.
Correct.
As we are a football city.
Yes. And we're also,
no matter what Stan Kroenke thinks, we are a football city.
And we're also a good party city. So when they said, okay, here's your concessions allotment for game 1, I'm like, that's great. Can you add 35% more beer?
Yeah.
And then they're like, and then the fans are like, well, if you're going to do that, you might as well add 100% more merchandise.
We were at the Dome for the Guns N' Roses show, and they ran out of beer.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'll be chased out of town if that happens.
Yeah, I think somebody had to run a Schnucks. Like, hey, we got a station wagon.
Here, a couple of cubes.
Yeah.
We need some cubes.
Yeah, this is where the halftime being only 10 minutes long may come back like,
yeah, let's not run out of
we got
beer.
a beer run.
Kurt, if anything, let's not run out of beer.
Beer and merchandise. We actually, based on what we learned from the other teams who started the first 2 weeks, very clearly you can't have enough merchandise stands. So we added 2 extras.
Oh, yeah.
We'll have
seeing
6 merchandise stands.
Battlehawks gear is selling out all across the city.
Right.
This jacket you're wearing is awesome, dude.
He's
Awesome.
going to mug you, by the way. He's going
Well,
to roll you once you leave here.
Hey, he's got no upper body strength, so
Hey, Riz, do you want to address the elephant in the room /city about are people allowed to say,
Cacaw?
are people allowed to cacaw? Are we encouraging the cacaw? Are we not encouraging the cacaw?
What's the official stance?
Yeah, what is the official stance on the cacaw? Because that's all everybody asks us about.
So my official stance is once you're inside, I want you to have fun.
Okay.
And how you define fun.
There you go.
And how you define the team. It goes back to one of the universal questions I've had, like, what's a Battlehawk? I'm like, I don't know, what is it? Close your eyes and you tell me what you see.
Yeah.
What kind of sound do they make?
Yeah, and if you tell me, well, I see a plane, I'm like, you're correct. And if you tell me I see a bird, you're correct.
Yeah.
Every answer is correct. It's personal interpretation. The fact that on Thursday when we announced the Schnucks deal, the Schnucks partnership, and Dave Peacock actually puts cacaw in the press release, and then on their picture on Twitter was the Schnucks mascot with cacaw on the side. I'm like,
okay,
let's party, guys.
Yeah. All right, Vince McMahon, what is he thinking about what's going on with the league? He's got to be pleased.
Well, Vince McMahon, Oliver Luck, our commissioner. So our XFL commissioner, Oliver Luck, the league president, Jeffrey Pollock, will be here. We have Tampa Bay starts tomorrow. That's the 7th team to start their home opener, and we go last. The whole league couldn't be more excited with the way that fans who love football have really hooked on to this league. in these games. But more importantly, and this is what I think the national broadcasters have done an excellent job of capturing during the game, is if you look at the fans, there's a lot of young families.
Yeah.
And like young professionals. It's the affordability has lent itself to opening pro football and inviting fans who may not be able to afford fall football games to come out and have a really good time. And whether it's the beer snake in D.C. last week, which we all thought was phenomenal, or just how loud Seattle was. And I was in Dallas and Houston with the team last 2 weeks, and Houston was deafening loud. I mean, people are just having a really good time, and it's a fast-paced game. And the TV viewership's been great. So even in the non-XFL markets, people are watching. I mean, the league couldn't be any more excited, and we're very excited for St. Louis to get its turn on the national spotlight.
Well, and I ask about Vince McMahon because the first incarnation of the XFL, Vince McMahon was front and center.
Right.
When the league kind of launched, and he'd be on TV, and I see now he's kind of stepped back and let the league do its thing.
His vision and what he, the love of football is clearly like part of Vince's innovation and vision. He has allowed Commissioner Luck and Jeffrey Pollack, like he funnels it all through them, and then he like trusts them to execute the vision, and that's what. And so Coach Hayes is on kind of the Oliver side, the football operations, and I work on the business operations side. And it's just like you're completely joined at the hip. And we're lucky because we're all in the same facility. So if I need to go ask Coach something, I just walk downstairs. And we have constantly players coming up, and like Marquette has gotten a call and sold season tickets. Just because they just like, hey, I got 10 minutes to spare.
Right, yeah.
Let's go upstairs and see how we can help out. And that's the fun thing about this team too, is the players understand that St. Louis is really hungry for this. And as much as I can try to prepare them for Sunday, I'm like, you got to turn on the music in your earphones like up to 11.
Yeah.
For you to understand how loud it's going to be in there.
And they're already talking about expansion teams. I mean, we already heard something about maybe Philly getting a team.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny. I like we saw that. Like I think Fox put that out there. Like, oh, who should get another team? And everybody's like, oh, I want one. I want one.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we got one. We're one of the originals. And I mean, it'll be really, really fun to read the narrative and see people like, wow, St. Louis is an awesome football town.
And it's proven to be. It's proven to be. So you got the Battlehawks and the Guardians. This Sunday, over the dome, kickoff is at 2. Single seats are available if you want to get them.
And Ticketmaster, I mean, the resale market is, the secondary market is, you have one.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty, it's kind of nice.
If anything, listen, watch the game on ESPN.
Right. And there's plenty of bars in the Battlehawk Bar Network all across the metro area, Illinois, all the way to suburban St. Louis. It's just going to be an atmosphere. I mean, we know a lot of people starting to tailgate, like we talked about earlier, probably now. But they're like, yeah, I'm not even going to the game. I just want to hang with my buddies. So
that's amazing. Well, good luck. And
thank you very much.
You guys have really knocked it out of the park. Not a baseball term, but hate to use a baseball
You
term.
really threw the ball
you
right into the end zone.
You really scored a touchdown.
Really downed it on the 1 yard line.
Yeah. Kurt Hunzeker is the president of the Battlehawks. He's in the studio. Thank you, Kurt.
Thank you.
And good luck with everything. If you need anything, just
Appreciate
ask Patrico.
Yep.